America has voted. The winner of the $1 million and the star of the headline show in Las Vegas is... Paul Zerdin! America voted for you. How do you feel, Paul?
I am totally speechless. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It's surreal. I'm bowled over. Thank you. Oh my God.
Happy Monday, everyone. So, Paul, I have to open this by saying
Donna.
I think you're actually almost, if it's possible, too good at this. Because Paul has 3 puppets. Dummies.
Whatever you want, puppets,
and
figures.
The third one that is not here is the baby. And the baby, the cry that when you make the baby cry, it like raises the hackles. Like, stop, I can't. It literally takes me back to bringing a newborn home from the hospital.
I'm sorry, the
please
baby.
keep going. Just do it for 15 more minutes.
I'm really sorry the baby's not here, but he's in
timeout.
He was up all night. He kept me up all night, and so now he's sleeping now. So I've got the other 2 here.
They're having a nice little respite right now.
Yes.
So looking back at you winning, and congratulations on that, of course.
Thank you.
What went through your head? And by the way, I love it when people ask you after you've won like the World Cup, how do you feel? Imagine Germany being like, really, that's no big deal.
It was basically they milked that moment so much that, we were standing up there for what seemed like weeks, and it's whittled down to, 3, 2, 1, and it was myself and Drew, and we were standing there for hours, and then they're about to tell you, and then they go to an ad break, and then you're like, oh God. And I was ready. I was getting in my head, I thought, well, it's going to be Drew. I just thought he's going to be the one. I would have voted for him, and he was terrific. And I thought he's going to be one. So I'm getting ready. I'm getting the speech ready in my head to go. Well done,
Your
the best man won.
speech, yes.
Yeah, totally. And then when they did say my name, I genuinely was like, and I was speechless, which is not very good for a ventriloquist. And it was an amazing feeling, but it was also a mixture because I'd been flying backwards and forwards from London to New York to do the different heats of the quarterfinals, semi-finals, whatever. It was a mixture of euphoria and jet lag, really, the whole thing. So it felt, and when you play that clip, watching it back now, it's like watching someone else.
That's what you were saying.
It just feels really weird.
What was the greatest impact you felt on your career after winning?
The greatest impact? Well, it's such a big showcase, America's Got Talent, and there's the Got Talent brand is all over the world, but it's the American one is the big one, and so it's a massive platform for it's a variety show, and it's an amazing platform for every kind of variety act. And we live in an age now where stand-up comedy is a huge business, particularly in the UK, but worldwide, really.
Everywhere, yeah.
And obviously the States. But variety has had, taken a back seat. And so I think it's a great way of putting on a variety show, but obviously it is a competition, so there's that competitive element. And people ask me why did I do America's Got Talent and not Britain's Got Talent? I've been going for a long time at home in the UK and worked all over the place. And television, it's difficult to get on television. And I have been on a show called The Royal Variety Show, which is in front of a member of the royal family. And they take turns. So one year the Queen does it, the next year it's Prince Charles. And I've been on that show a few times back home in the UK. And one of the prizes, or part of the prize of winning Britain's Got Talent, is to appear on the Royal Variety Show. So that would have looked a bit kind of, looked like I was cheating in a way, rocking up on Britain's Got Talent when I've already done what you're aiming for.
Yeah.
But America's Got Talent, I just thought America is such an enormous market, and it's kind of like the entertainment capital of the world, really. And if you can make it in America or have a go, that's definitely got to be worth a go, really. So and also it's open to anybody, so you can be from anywhere, and you can you can enter the competition. Doesn't matter what you do, how old you are, whatever. It's open to everyone. So. It's one of those things where you just go for it, really.
And I mean,
I'm glad I did.
And you impressed Howard Stern, so that's nothing to
Yeah, I mean, I walked out
Scoff at.
my first audition was in April last year, and I walked out on stage at the Dolby Theatre in Hollywood, and that itself, in itself, looking around, just thinking, oh my God, this is where the Oscars comes from. That's quite daunting. And then you're walking out in front of a panel, and Howard Stern is he was kind of known for being, straight talking. Not Mr. Nasty, but just told it like it was. And so I was thinking, right, well, all I can do is just go out and do what I do and hope that they like it. And the most important thing was to entertain the audience in the theatre, and hopefully the judges would be with me as well, and they were, luckily. And Howard was hugely helpful from the very beginning. He was like a big fan, and I'm sure that helped.
And what you do is so unique because what you do is a mix of stand-up comedy and ventriloquism. I always screw up that word.
It's not an easy word to say.
It's a tough word. Try saying it backwards 100 times.
You first.
No, you go. In your baby voice.
No.
But
move on.
I know that you got started at 10 years old. Someone gave you a puppet theater, and you became addicted. So kind of talk to me about that. What resonated with you?
Well, I'd always been a fan of puppets, and in particular the Muppets and Sesame Street, I guess. So we were brought up, my sister and I, watching Sesame Street on Saturday mornings. And there was something about those Muppets, and I don't know anyone that doesn't like the Muppets. I've never met anyone that doesn't like the Muppets. And so...
You have no soul if you don't like the Muppets.
Exactly, absolutely. And so watching Ernie and Bert or Grover and Cookie Monster, and, those moments where they're counting with the children, and, those were just enchanting, magical moments. And I always remember, just thinking, as soon as I saw these characters, I think the first time I saw them, I wanted a puppet, not a teddy bear. I wanted a puppet that I could, get my hand up and copy them, basically. And at that time, around about sort of 9, 10, I'd been doing magic. I'd been given a magic set for Christmas, and I was learning magic tricks, and I was really good at annoying my family with these cards.
You were one of those kids that made everyone sit
I
and watch
really
for
was.
hours.
I really was. And
I hope you bought each member of your family a car.
And I used to, not yet. I'm working on it. I took to the magic, and I was quite good at it. And but I knew that wasn't the only thing I wanted to do. But when I left school, I wasn't very interested in academic studies. I just knew I wanted to go into show business. And I left school and I was a professional magician. So I became one of those real annoying geeks that comes up to you when you're trying to have a dinner for two, a romantic dinner for two, and says, hello, would you like to pick a card? People tell you to get lost and make yourself disappear. And I was trying to get an agent at the time, and I knew I had to get an agent. And she said, "What's different?" And I said, "Well, I love puppets, and I'm not quite sure." She said, "Well, what else can you do with puppets?" She said, "I've got loads of magicians. I can give you work as a magician, but you need to find a gimmick." And I'd been given a book on how to become a ventriloquist when I was around about 15, written by a British ventriloquist, and I was kind of intrigued by it, and so I started to learn it, and it took me a couple of years to learn it, and the agent said, "Come back when you have an act," and that's what I did, so it kind of kicked my butt into gear to start concentrating on the ventriloquism, and it literally was just meant practicing in front of the mirror every day, talking without moving your lips.
How do you do it? No, seriously, how? It's so daunting.
It's a real. I mean, you could try this, okay, Donna? You try this, okay? So imagine you're sitting in front of the mirror, and you just literally you relax your face, and you just say something like hello without moving your lips. Say hello.
Hello. Hello.
Just say hello.
Hello.
Say hello normally.
Hello.
No, now just relax your face, but keep a gap between your lips and your teeth, and just say hello.
Hello.
Yeah, you see, you can do it.
It sounds like they Novocaine my mouth. I don't think anyone would pay for this.
Hello. So anyway, you just try and you basically you learn to. It's like learning to speak again, but using your tongue, which takes over without making it sound too boring. But it takes over and starts recreating the sounds that your lips would otherwise make. So it's about keeping the stillness here, and you learn to sort of talk again by this technique, and which is you're pushing up air from here, and that's ventriloquism. And it took me 2 years to get the basics. Hello, how are you? Hello. Oh, hello.
Isn't this crazy, people? I mean, seriously, do you know how hard this is?
It's a very strange thing. Oh,
it's not strange. It's immensely difficult.
Oh, yes, it's very strange. Hello, how are you? And I think I had a knack for it. And I phased out the magic, and I put in the puppets and the ventriloquism and the comedy, and that's kind of, you know, I owe it to my first agent who said, you know, that's you've got to have a gimmick, and that's kind of what happened.
When did you realize that you could make a go of this professionally? I mean, do you remember the first time you stood in front of an audience and people really responded?
I did a show. I think I did my first. I used to have a character called Gus, who was before Sam, and he was very much like Ernie from Sesame Street, and he had an American accent. And I did a show at my sister's school, Putney High School, and I did in their assembly one morning. They used to have different presentations, things, and I did my act, and I did a bit of magic, and then I got the puppet out, and I did 5 minutes of what I thought was an act, and I remember it going really well and getting big laughs, thinking, oh, okay, this is good, and then I started to put that into clubs and holiday camps, and I worked on cruise ships, cruise lines all over the place. And you know, those sort of places, when you walk on stage and you're getting in the way of, you know, bingo in a working men's club up in the north, and if you're not good and you've interrupted the main reason for them being out that night, and that's bingo, which is a big game. If you're not entertaining, they will tell you about it pretty quickly. So you had to get the audience on your side, and so you learn very quickly in those environments, and you learn how to try and keep the audience's attention as well once you've got it. Sorry, what was the question?
Well, you just answered it.
Oh.
And also very impressive that your first real, you know, winning stage performance was in front of kids, because kids are a tough crowd. They are not impressed by anything.
Yeah, they are. And I used to do children's parties as well. I used to do everything. I used to do close-up magic. This is why I didn't get in my exams. I got English and drama at what we call the GCSEs in the UK, and I was busy making money and doing close-up magic in the evenings, and I was doing kids' parties in the afternoon, and I used to do magic, and I used to produce a rabbit as well, and I used to keep the rabbit in the car. Right at the very end of the show, I'd get the birthday boy to get up on stage in the front room, you know, on my little kind of platform, and get him to talk to his kids for a moment while I legged it out to the car, loaded the rabbit into the box, and then came running back in and went, right, quickly, before he dies, quickly, let's do some magic and show the box empty, and then the white rabbit appeared. So I used to do all of that kind of stuff, and yeah, like you say, if kids didn't like you, they told you pretty quickly.
Oh yeah, the blank faces, yes. That's so true. What's the toughest part of being a ventriloquist?
Well, until recently, ventriloquism has been regarded as quite has an image of being old-fashioned, and I think people are still quite scared of ventriloquists, especially close up, because I think because they've been depicted in the movies over the years as, you know, psycho killers and mad.
Scary clown.
Yeah, and I think people find them a bit spooky. I think now, because you've got, you know, some great ventriloquists out there. You've got Jeff Dunham, who's kind of, you know, has gone global. You've got Terry Fator, who has this amazing show in Vegas. You have some fantastic performers now, which, thanks to, you know, YouTube and these, you know, platforms on the internet, it's opened it up, and it's made it actually, I think people realise now it actually can be funny, and it isn't just some old bloke with a spooky looking doll with that dropped jaw, you know, that goes, you know, wants to kill someone.
So for the record, you don't want to kill anyone?
No, not yet. And I don't think it's only recently that it's become acceptable. It's become kind of cool. It's like magic went through a bit of a kind of a transition and became kind of fell out of favor. And now, you know, we have an amazing British magician called Dynamo, who's, you know, he's gone all over the place. You have David Blaine that's made it cool again. And I think the more people doing it now, thanks to platforms like, you know, America's Got Talent, it becomes acceptable now. But for years, it was like, oh, you're a ventriloquist? Oh, I don't think so. You know, so now it's kind of become cool.
How did you come up with your 3 characters?
Sam was my kind of my first one after the initial character Gus that I talked about before, and I was actually a kids presenter I got a gig as a kids presenter for Disney in the UK, and they wanted someone that did something different, because I could do the magic, I could do the puppets. And I presented the puppet I already had, but they said, oh, he's too Muppety, we want something a bit different. So I said, okay, I've got some ideas. And I literally went back home with an electric carving knife. I carved out the shape of Sam from blocks of foam.
No way, really?
And covered it in fleece and made it into roughly the sort of character that you see now. Presented that to them, and they said, that's it, we love him. And so Sam I created for this kids show I used to present for a couple of years, until we were got rid of by a big purple dinosaur.
Oh, I think we.
And if I ever see that purple thing again. Anyway, so I developed Sam for this kids show, and then we were got rid of after 2 years, and then I went out on the road and started and started doing my act with him, really. This is behind the scenes of puppetry. And here
Hi,
he is.
Sam. How are you?
Hello. Why
you-
do you have the microphone?
What?
Why do you have it?
Well, I sort of need it.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Sam, what is really annoying about him? Will you tell me?
Hello, Donna. What is really annoying about him?
Yes.
His hand.
His hand? I thought he had soft manicured
When
hands.
he doesn't cut his nails.
Oh, yes, I feel that. Yeah.
Hello? Woo! Are you dead?
Oi.
Sam, hey, come on now. Take it down a notch.
Donna,
Yes.
how are you?
I'm lovely. Thank you for asking.
Oh, that's good, that's good, that's good, that's good. Have you been drinking today, Donna?
No, it's only 11, so a little early in the
Well,
day.
then
for
why
that.
the hell are
What
you
about
talking?
you? Have you been drinking?
Why are you talking to a puppet?
You know, that's a great question.
Sleep.
Dude, you're amazing.
Is that him or me?
You!
Oh.
He's a freaking puppet. And what about the baby? How did you come up with the peeing baby?
So the baby, the peeing baby, well, you know, I just thought, all my characters are kind of based on, you know, it's kind of real life, really. So Sam is kind of like a really cheeky, cockier version of me. And he can get away, and with a puppet you can get away with so many more things than you can with than saying it
actual
as
human,
yourself.
yeah.
You know, I couldn't go around calling someone ugly in the front row. The puppet apparently can. And so he's based on a kid and the kid in all of us in a way. And the baby is just a baby version of Sam, and he's kind of his brother. The baby is Sam's younger brother, so he looks up to Sam, and he's being slowly led astray by Sam and sees the way he behaves, which is quite bad. And it's those annoying things that you find in kids, like, for example, in fact, this is a routine that I developed with my nephew. I have a 5-year-old nephew. I don't have children of my own, but I have a 5-year-old nephew.
What are you doing?
Just getting you here.
Okay. Don't touch the...
All right, sorry. So this is a routine that I used to do with Sam.
What is it?
You know when you copy me?
Oh, yes.
Okay, so this is inspired by my nephew, and I remember doing it when I was a child.
The
you
copying?
Know. Yeah, you're trying to get on,
You're trying to get on,
and you start copying me.
you start copying me.
Please stop copying him. It's so disrespectful.
Keep out of this, Donna.
Would you stop it now?
Would you stop it?
Look, stop it.
Stop it.
Stop it.
Stop it.
Stop it.
Stop it.
Look.
I'm warning you. You
Stop it.
stop it.
It's pathetic.
Pathetic.
You're pathetic.
You're
You're an idiot. You're an idiot.
I can't do that.
No. So that routine was inspired by my nephew, and it's just what kids do. And so the peeing
course,
baby, is just, you know, I picked up on. I'm a people watcher, and I like, you know, I love the fact that you can. They're almost like cartoon characters, really, and there's a lot of freedom there, and so the baby, it just does kind of silly kiddie mannerisms. Obviously, he's 8 months old and he can talk, which is unusual, but
He's a Mensa child.
And it's basically you can do these things with characters. It's like real life cartoon characters, and with jokes. And the humor tends to be, I try and make the humor a reason for it happening, rather than just standing there with a puppet on your arm doing jokes for the sake of it. It's kind of like a little kind of one-man sitcom. So I've got the baby to look after. I've got Sam, who's this annoying kid who's just trying to push the line all the time. And then there's Albert, of course, which is, this is Albert here. Let me get into Albert.
Oh, gentle.
All right. Sorry, you all right? So Albert is, he's at the other end of the age spectrum, really. So he's kind of, you're all right? Okay? You're right. So you've got, I've got the baby, I've got the kid, and then I've got the old man as well. So I've got this weird kind of,
The crotchety old man.
dysfunctional family, really. But they've all got kind of character traits that people can relate to, because everyone has a grandfather or had a grandfather, or
Or a nasty neighbor.
Yeah, and getting old. And Albert's not nasty. He's just
Crotchety.
he's he's falling apart. And I think when you get to a certain age, you stop caring, and you kind of do what you want. Have you got your hearing aid on now? Have you switched it on? Have you switched your hearing aid on? Albert, is your hearing aid on? Have you switched your hearing aid on? Is your hearing aid, Albert, Have you switched your hearing aid on? Is your hearing aid on? Is it on? Is it on? Have you switched your hearing aid on?
Yes.
Great. Well, listen, tell everyone how old you are. Tell them your age.
Yes.
Great. So you're okay? You're okay?
Yes.
You're right.
Yes. I had a cold.
He's had a cold, and he's got jet lag as well because we're travelling backwards and forwards at the
So
moment.
he's a little stuffed up.
So he's a bit stuffed up. You're okay? You had a cough, didn't you? Bad cough.
Yes.
What did you do?
I went to the doctor.
What did he tell you?
He told me to take a laxative.
A laxative? Is that helping?
Yes, now I'm afraid to cough.
So you've got, relax. You've got, you've got this weird family thing really, and it's all just based on, life.
I love it. And before we turn over to the audience, I know that you have a big announcement that's coming out tomorrow.
I have a big announcement that I can't
No, we
announce.
can't say it, so...
I have a big announcement to make, which I'll be making tomorrow on the Today Show. A big announcement that I can't make tomorrow on the Today Show. So watch the Today Show tomorrow, if you can make sense of that, and I'll be making the big announcement that I can't make today.
Tomorrow.
On Today.
Tuesday. And let's turn over to the audience, please. I know someone in the front row has a question.
Hello.
Where are you? Hang on. Oh, you're there. Sorry. I thought that was me for a minute.
What was the most challenging voice to perfect, and what was your backup career in case ventriloquism wasn't going to work?
That's a great question, and I had no backup career. I just was so determined when I left school that I was going to be in entertainment, some way, shape or form. That I was that confident, and maybe that's probably just innocence and naivety and stupidity really. But I think most people in the entertainment world are just driven by this inner belief that someday you're going to make it, and that anything is possible. And I think if you work hard enough and you have an ability and you just you're driven, it is possible. What was the other part of your question?
The toughest voice to perfect.
Toughest voice. I guess I find it quite easy doing the falsetto voices for some reason. I don't know why. I'm able to do that.
Hello, how are you?
I can just do that. And Albert's is kind of like the other end. It's all,
Yes, good God, yes. Hello there, yes.
I think probably the hardest voice is doing my own voice. Ventriloquially, and I do it, and I use it in a way where in my show I talk about having fun with the microphone and the sound check, and pretending to mess around with the sound man, making him think the mic has gone out of sync, and I love doing that, and that's using my own voice ventriloquially, but it's a way I can do it that is relatively easy, but doing it with my own voice. So I'll just show you a bit. Hello, 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 hello. Testing. 1, 2, 3. It's not working. That's a way of me doing my voice, using it ventriloquially, but in a way that makes it kind of funny with the sound check and stuff. But actually doing my own voice is probably the hardest voice. And I think that's probably why most ventriloquists, their characters, and also you need to have a different voice for your character. So that it is different from you, especially when you're going. And I like the fact that I can switch between the voices quickly, and I think people like that sort of, especially with that copy me thing. Hello, hello, stop it, stop it, stop it, stop it. That quick fire thing. So you need to have a different voice anyway. But I find my own voice, ventriloquially speaking, that's definitely the hardest voice.
Hi, Paul.
Hello.
Hi. Congratulations on your win.
Thank you very much.
When you were talking about with Donna how you prepared to learn this career, how you have to look yourself in the mirror and not open your mouth and so forth. Was there a particular person or other ways of studying that you looked up to and reviewed to perfect what you're doing right now?
Well, I would say that Jim Henson and the Muppets and anything to do with Hensons, really, those creatures and those puppets were probably my biggest inspiration. There was a ventriloquist in the UK called Ray Allen, and he had a character called Lord Charles, and I first saw this ventriloquist. He was very famous in the UK. I saw him on a variety show when I was probably about, 13 or 14, and I'd never seen a ventriloquist before, or couldn't remember seeing a ventriloquist before, and he blew me away. His technique was just unbelievable. I'd heard of ventriloquists, I'd never really seen them, and I saw this guy, and he did this sort of 10-minute routine with this old man dummy who was a bit drunk and slurred, and he had a monocle, and he was kind of very aristocratic, and he did a whole routine where he blindfolded the dummy, and he held up these articles, and the dummy was doing the mind reading and was telling him which he was holding, and of course it all went wrong. The dummy, it turned out that the hole in the blindfold was at the wrong way, was the wrong place, so he couldn't see out, and the whole routine went wrong. And I just saw this guy doing ventriloquism with the most amazing technique. It was like he brought it to life, and I remember seeing that, thinking, oh my God, I want to do that. That is just amazing, but with the kind of Muppety type character. And I find, having worked at the Comedy Store in the UK for a long, long time, and comedy clubs, and working, with some pretty hard kind of, when you're on closing the show at the Comedy Store in London at 1:45 in the morning, and people have had a few drinks, they're not going to take any kind of crap, really. They expect, they'll tell you if they don't like you and heckling, whatever. And so I knew that if I had a Muppety type soft figure puppet, that that would give you half a chance, I think, because of people loving the Muppets. So I guess it's the Muppets, really, are my biggest influence.
And last question, please.
Hi, Paul.
Hello.
Thanks for being here.
Pleasure.
So I was wondering, when you're on a show like America's Got Talent, there's a lot of downtime, especially during the audition process when they're filming. I was wondering how you keep yourself energized to go on stage, and if there's any sort of warm-ups that you do to get yourself amped up beforehand.
There's a lot of hanging around, particularly early on in the audition process. And I remember waiting, I don't know where I was, in some holding area, some pen, where you have to ask permission to go to the toilet, go and use the restroom. And I remember just looking around and think, I managed to find a chair, and behind me there's some bloke wearing a dress, juggling. And then over there, there's a sort of team, what are they called? The cheerleaders. Mm-hmm. And there's a guy over there sort of practicing sawing his girlfriend in half. And there's another ventriloquist over there, and there's jugglers, and just looking at this sort of chaos, absolute chaos, which is sort of unfolding around me. And I just tried to sort of kind of keep not away from it, but just keep out of it, really. And so I just had my iPad and my DVDs and stuff like that. So yeah, just try and keep focused. But there is a lot of hanging around, and I just tried to sort of stay focused, but also just see the funny side of it as well. So I was making notes all the time and just thinking, this is really funny. One day for the autobiography,
this will be great material, right?
This will be, hilarious. And you got some, you meet some real characters as well. And also, the hardest thing about that is, if you start doing well in the competition and you're with a load of other people as well, you become friends, and so you build up a real kind of camaraderie. Which is it's really difficult when you start getting into the latter stages of the competition, because you're all hoping. Like the first live show I did, the quarterfinals, we were all in this green room waiting to go out, and then your friends get buzzed, and they get buzzed off the show on a live show, and it's horrifying, because you realize you're all competing against each other, but you build up these friendships, and you want everyone to do well. And I think genuinely everyone is feel there's a very good-willed spirit, positive feeling back there, and everyone wants to do well. They want you to do well, but also ultimately you're all fighting against each other, competing. So it's really hard, but it's really difficult when literally you're on that stage and they say, right, I'm sorry, you're gonna have to go home, and then literally you're kind of like thrown out of the back door, and you continue. So you feel terrible. You feel grateful that you're still there, but also it's really hard.
Well, I'm glad you have your puppets to cuddle with to make yourself feel better.
By the way, can I just let you know, I don't talk to the puppets off stage.
I was actually going to ask about that, because I feel like that would be almost irresistible.
I think people think that, and obviously I kind of make sure that they look real in the act, but I don't talk to them. They go into the luggage and they go into the trunk of the car, and they stay there.
But it's climate control. Don't worry, people. They're not subjected to any bad situations. And what's next for you?
Well, I've got this announcement.
Thing you can't say.
Which I can't say, which I can say on the Today Show tomorrow. And then I've got some gigs. I've been gigging. I was in Buffalo the other night doing a casino. I was doing a casino in New Buffalo. I've got some more gigs. I'm in the luggage. I'm living in a suitcase with them.
Well, and for dates, check out Paul's website.
Yes, PaulZerdin.com. PaulZerdin.com.
I think there's only one way to close this interview.
Yes.
With the baby crying. Thank you so much. And I'm about to run.